So I'm breaking down the Bible from Genesis, and the Bible is signs, symbols, and allegories for your human consciousness, and it shows you how your human consciousness is God. It's the cause and effect relationship between your mind and the physical reality. If you look at the Adam and Eve story, the first thing that Adam realizes about himself is that he was naked after he bit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God said, who told you were naked? Did you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? And obviously he did, and got cast out of the garden of Eden, so he couldn't eat from the tree of life while still thinking negatively. He had to divest himself of negative thinking and the belief in two powers, good and evil. But this is what's interesting. Adam saw himself as naked. That's how God knew he had thought evil. If you fast forward time, look at Noah. Noah got drunk and passed out. Ham, one of his sons, came out in his tent and saw him naked. He went back, told his other brothers, Japheth and Shem. And Shem and Japheth walked backwards with a cloth and covered his father over without looking at him. Noah woke up, found out what happened, and he cursed Ham, Ham's son, Canaan, and said he is going to be the slave of Japheth and Shem. Now, if you read that story, you're like, damn, he got mad because dude saw him naked. You got drunk. You was the problem, right? But it's an analogy. Noah being naked on the ground was not supposed to be seen naked. Ham actually saw him naked. So if you think Ham saw him naked, that's the equivalent of the evil that Adam did. Adam saw himself as naked, and Ham saw his father naked. So they both witnessed nakedness. They both witnessed evil. And that was the beginning of the fall. Canaan, who was the son of Ham, his entire lineage, if you go down the lineage, he gave birth to the first powerful man, great hunter and warrior, who founded Babylon, which is Nimrod. Nimrod was the first great man found in multiple cities. The notable ones are Babylon and Nineveh. Well, we all know what happened in Babylon. By the way, every single name in the lineage of Canaan were physically focused names, representing wealth, abundance, success, property, housing, very physical focus, but it was abundance and wealth and opulence and gold. The land of Cush was very rich and wealthy. That was all Canaan's lineage. These three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were aspects of consciousness, natures of consciousness. Canaan had the nature of physical success as his dominant consciousness. Shem had expansion, life and light expansion as his dominant consciousness. And Japheth, well, that was Japheth. And Shem had the identity of being in God as his primary identity. So one is being in God, one is the expansion of God, and another one is the physical manifestations of God's abundance, which is gold, wealth, housing, physical success. And from that lineage, from that nature of mind, comes the world's first great man, Nimrod, who gives birth and creates a city called Babylon, who eventually defects against God and tries to build a tower to heaven. What is that symbolic for? Dana White talked about a trillionaire he knows. This trillionaire has doctors working round the clock because he said when you're a trillionaire, you want to live forever. He's trying to build a tower to heaven. He's trying to build a tower into eternity while still living in his physical earth. You have to divest yourself of the physical in order to reach heaven. At first, everybody spoke the same language. They were of the same kind. Everybody was harmoniously speaking and communicating together. Well, when Babylon tried to do this and defected against God and tried to build a tower to heaven, then the language got scattered. Really what that meant is everybody got confused and nobody was on the same page anymore. When one person breaks the bond of a group, Now everybody's skeptical. They just sowed the seed of deception and division in the group. Now everybody's divided, speaking different tongues, having hidden agendas. That's what the representation of the Tower of Babylon was. And what lineage did that come out of? That came out of the lineage of Canaan. Canaan's lineage is about wealth, physical, worldly wealth and success. If you look at everything in it, it's physical, worldly success. That is where it came from. Now, just think about how this is human nature. One part of our human nature is our beingness. We dwell as God. Another part of our being is heavenly expansion and light. That's Japheth. And then another nature is the third expression of that in the physical world, which is worldly success and worldly wealth. If you think about those three, those are the three natures in us human beings. We are dwelling as God. We are God because we are mind, and the mind creates reality. The expansion of light and this expansion of energy is automatic and natural. It's creative. That's Japheth. And then what manifests is an abundance of whatever we thinking and being. Whatever we're exuding and whatever we're being. That's Canaan. Canaan is the slave of the other two. So whatever we're getting in our world is just a manifestation of, it's a slave to what's happening within us. The whole Bible is signs, symbols, and allegories for internal experience. And when we start to read the Bible like this, when we start to understand the Bible like this, it's going to change the way we understand ourselves. It's a book of mental science. It's a book of codes. It's a book of secrets. It's a book of really an open knowledge book to help us understand what's really going on earth, what's going on within our spirit, what's going on within our own nature. And the whole Bible is symbolic about that. If you read it by breaking down the Hebrew names, I wouldn't recommend doing this, boring. But if you really are a student, break down the Hebrew. Because once you break down the Hebrew, what you see is this whole thing is set up to teach us. The most boring part of the Bible, when I first read it, was all of these names. Why are you telling me whose son is whose? Because here's what it is. One son is a cause. One person is a cause. That's Ham. He has a son named Canaan. That's an effect. Canaan becomes a cause in itself. Has another son. That's a chain reaction effect. And then those sons have sons. That's a chain reaction effect, cause and effect. So this chain reaction of cause and effect goes all the way down the line until somebody tries to defy God. That's the end of that line, of that lineage. That's where it ends. Look at America. Look at the world today. It's people in the world who worship money. And the people who worship money are trying to take over the world and supersede and jump over God. That's insanity. But that is the nature of Canaan. That's where they're from. But they're servants to God's being and God's expansion.